Hello and welcome to Uniper's Market Insights. My name is Florian Oberländer, and after the summer break, we are now back with really interesting topics. We will discuss the developments at the gas markets, talk about green energy, and also travel from Vancouver to Singapore. But of course, we will not travel alone. We will take Uniper's Chief Analyst, Gregor Pett, with us. Hi, Gregor.
Hi, Florian. Yeah, good to see you again.
Good to see you too, and good to see that you made it safely back from Vancouver, where you were in July, and not for vacation purposes, but to attend the LNG conference. Can you tell us a little bit about the mood at the exhibition, and also, what are the latest trends in the LNG business?
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, no vacation, but very fascinating scenery indeed, and also very fascinating discussions on increasingly decarbonization of LNG in particular. So it was for me great to see that the Canadian LNG projects really focus on decarbonization, for example, using renewable energy to power the compressors they need to liquefy the natural gas. And so on, and also the LNG supplies that, of course, because it's the west coast of Canada, mostly are intended to go to the Asian markets, where LNG can play an important role in decarbonization of those markets. Competition is mostly coal, so it's very important that they can use gas instead from a decarbonization perspective. Also very fascinating to see how these projects include the people basically where these projects are located, and that's mainly in Canada and these areas of the First Nations, and how they are included in these projects and have own shares in these projects. That was also for me interesting to see, and I didn't know that before. So that was quite educating for me from that perspective as well.
Sounds very interesting, and I can just confirm Vancouver, one of my favorite cities, really, really nice. But let's stay with LNG for a little bit, because this was one of the reasons why we saw quite a volatile development at the gas market the last couple of weeks, even though we see healthy fundamentals. Can you give us a little bit of an insight what the drivers were there?
Yeah, indeed. So the gas summer was so far not so quiet. Normally, the summer season is of course quite boring in the gas business. You try to fill the storage, which we did. So we have over 90% in Europe storage filling level. So that was good. But apart from that, quite interesting, I would say, because we saw some. Not real supply disruptions, but discussions about that, in particular from Australian LNG facilities, where there was discussion on strike and industrial action. So that affected slightly more than 10% of the world's LNG supply. And you might ask, why does it affect us in Europe? Because that's Australia, that's far away. But if these supplies then are missing in Asia, where these cargoes predominantly go, then that has an effect on the suppliers that balance the markets, in particular Qatar, but also increasingly the US, where cargoes then go to Asia instead of Europe. And that has an effect then on European prices. And even if it's anticipated that this would happen, this also has already an effect on the psychology of markets and on the price of gas in Europe. So that we saw this summer. We've discussed this in this forum a couple of times, that the market is walking a tightrope between enough supply or even oversupply temporarily, in summer months, and on the other hand, then tightness in cases infrastructure gets disrupted. This is exactly what we have seen, with prices then rising from well below 30 euros per megawatt hour to over 40, almost 50 euros per megawatt hour. And that was what we saw this summer.
Yeah. The false comfort zone, as we called it.
Yes,
I think it has proven to be right. And from what I could see, I think they kind of found a solution down in Australia with one of the producers there. So that's also reflected in the gas prices right away, where we see prices coming down a little bit. However, I think it's something we will continue to watch then and report on the next
it
episode.
all happens. It all happens very quickly. We saw that within days that we saw these price movements.
Yeah, and the developments at the gas markets, of course, filter through to developments of the power prices, because of the fuel mix and production of electricity. And this mix is going to be and needs to be greener moving forward. This is something that you hear in politics. The big industrial players are talking about it, and of course, big producers like Uniper, and it's reflected in our green strategy as well. When we now talk about the power market itself, or production of green power, what's the status there, and where do you see developments moving to, or what needs to happen in Europe, especially to make all of this happen?
Yes, the share of green power has significantly increased and needs to increase further. So in Germany, we already have days where the entire power demand is then met by renewable energy sources, and that's good. And that trend needs to be to continue. So we obviously need to build more renewable power, solar PV, wind onshore and offshore in Europe, than to make that work. But there will be, for the decades to come, still hours, even days, or longer periods when that's not enough, and where we need dispatchable power to balance the system. And that is mainly, in the current situation, gas. So we are phasing out coal, and so it needs to be gas then, and that needs to be then made fit so it can, at the future, then also use hydrogen. And preferably even green hydrogen, of course. So, and that's the transition part we need to take. And it's not an easy task. We have identified the need, and the government has also prepared a strategy around that. The EU has also issued the Green Deal and the targets for these developments. But it needs to happen, and we need to have the environment where these power plants are built. These power plants that today use gas and tomorrow will use hydrogen. So there's a huge of uncertainty in there, and we need to have the regulatory framework that enables us to build these plants and make the transition.
Okay, understood. And then maybe to explain a little bit as well, because in that regards we always talk about PPAs, power purchase agreements, as well when it comes to renewable power. Can you explain maybe in a few sentences what this is all about?
Yeah, PPAs are very much en vogue. Everybody wants to have them. And the reason is that all the industrial gas users, or the industrial electricity users, and all also the utilities that serve us as customers want to become increasingly green and need to become increasingly green. For example, in the power bills, it's displayed what the mix of power is, and you want to be as green as you can be. The way to do this for these utilities, but also for the industrial customers who have similar considerations for their products, they need green electricity. And at the same time, then developers of solar PV parks or wind farms then want to sell their energy. And the way this is done is through these PPAs. You can separate basically the value chain, and as a buyer you can buy green energy and be green, and they at the same time can concentrate on building their wind turbines and building the solar PV installations. So that's what PPAs are about.
Okay, fields where Uniper, as you mentioned, is really active in as well, and it's part of our new strategy, which we announced beginning of August as well. Very green strategy, and that was good news. We also had really positive numbers when we look at the first half of the year, so that was really promising. Plus, our board of management is now complete, so a lot of positive news on the Uniper front. And with this tailwind, we will fly to Singapore now, where you will also go again, not on vacation. I'm really sorry, but to attend the Gastech. How important is the Gastech for the energy world?
Yeah, Gastech is the biggest gas industry event of the year. And it's called Gastech, so it creates the impression it's only about gas as in methane, but it's increasingly focusing on other topics as well. So it's increasingly also focusing on hydrogen, derivatives, ammonia, and on this development and on technologies that can decarbonize gas. So the gas industry is very much understood that the decarbonization is something they have to manage and to drive and to shape going forward. And this is what Gastech is all about. So I'm very much looking forward to meeting people there and discussing this. And it's also fair to say that in established business relationships are very important. So the people we discuss LNG today, whom we discuss LNG today, we also discuss very often ammonia supplies and hydrogen supplies. So that's clearly then a good foundation then to increasingly decarbonize.
Good deal. Looking forward to hear all about it. Then we can discuss that in the next Insight episode. And thank you very much for your time, Gregor. And of course, safe travels to Singapore.
Yeah, thanks, Florian, and great to catch up. Take care.
All right. And to you out there, thank you very much for watching. Hope you tune in next time again. Until then, bye-bye.